Hi everybody, it's KL Nation from the JKF League. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day today. Hope your day is starting out good, or if it's the end of your day, it's ending great, or if it's the middle of the day, that everything is going well. Um, I decided I wanted to do this little reaction video to this this video of me that actually came out last year. Let me tell you a little story. So last year, Luna, one of our elites, posted in our Discord. She was like, KL, you're in this video that Haydunn did. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm in this video that Haydunn did? So I look at it and it's him destroying my team with a Sandaconda. If you haven't seen this video, my suggestion is like after you watch this video, to go watch the beginning and the rest of this video because it's a really good video. Shout out to Haydunn. He's a really good YouTuber who posts different strategies. Like some of the strategies he comes up with are pretty off the wall and unconventional, and I really like that. So he's a great YouTuber to watch, especially if you're trying to really think about a team. And so he decided to make this Sandaconda with Coil and Scale Shot, which is just fantastic. It's a fantastic set and has a loaded dice. So he took that, which is essentially like the strategy I try to use with my Gyarados, where it has Scale Shot and it also gets Moxie, so like it uses the Scale Shot to get speed boosts and then gets attack boosts for knocking stuff out and just becomes this like snowball effect that just can run through teams if it's set up right. But if people know about it, which a lot of people in the JKF league, like as soon as they saw that, I'm like, oh, we can't let that set up. We already know. So it didn't it wasn't showcased here for sure because I am telling you right now I lost. So I thought it would be fun to just like record a reaction video to it. I've already seen the video, so this is not like a new reaction, but like I thought it would be fun to do that and post that here. So let's get into that right quick, and you can see me losing to Haydunn. And I feel like if you're in the JKF League and you know that right now I'm the current champion, this should be like a good example of, you know what? Even champions lose, and even they have not the greatest of strategies sometimes, and sometimes you have to work out the kinks until you get somewhere. And, that's okay. So if you're feeling like, oh man, I'm never gonna progress to any sort of level where I want to be, well, first of all, don't feel that way because we're here to help you. If you want to learn more about strategies and see how viable they are, me and Jericho, we're always down for that. So don't feel that way, first of all. And secondly, like, remember, think back on this Sandaconda incident and be like, that's our champ. That's our champ right there. All right, we're gonna get into the video, and you can see what I'm talking about.
No, we got one goal here. Well, I guess two. We blow up and act like we don't know nobody, but also make the Sandaconda do some absolute nonsense. So let's
And
go
it
ahead
was
and
some
jump into it.
absolute nonsense
All right,
for
so this
sure.
time my opponent's actually going to end up leading off with the Espeon. Now, looking at an Espeon on a team preview, pretty reluctant to click Sticky Web because they're most likely just going to switch that thing in, magic bounce it right back to us, and that is not what we want. Now, the good news, at least, I can go for a Bug
But
Buzz
that's
here.
that's not
I
what I
actually end up going for
did.
the Psychic Terrain.
Like honestly, I kind of like one of my really good options I thought on this team was this Espeon. It does have magic bounce, so he's not wrong about that. Like if he had set up sticky A's initially, he would have just bounced it back to himself. So he was smart for thinking that. But the way I've built this particular Espeon was, I decided, you know what? Espeon is pretty fast, and in our league we only use, we don't use legendaries or mythicals or things that are normally much faster than Espeon, right? So Espeon is kind of one of the high speed tier Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, if I set up Psychic Terrain, I can do Expanding Force, of course. But then that also what usually happens with my Espeon I notice is like, yeah, it was fast and I could hit pretty hard, but usually they use some priority move in later turns to knock it out. But with Psychic Terrain, they can't do that. So I thought it was a really good strat, and it worked in a lot of cases. But you know Well, let me not spoil it if you haven't seen it.
It's going to be a little bit interesting. It also means it probably is going to be like an expanding force set.
Right.
But I just decided to go for the Bug Buzz because I figured I can at least knock it down to a sash. But it actually just lives naturally with 1 HP, and I'm
And I'm
just
really
confused the hell
surprised
out of here. But
it just didn't.
regardless, I know that I
It
can
has
take
a
an attack,
focus
and
sash for
I do
sure.
have a focus sash
So
that's not
it
freaking
must have survived
invisible,
on
and as I
2,
go
which
for
is
that expanding
crazy.
force, it is going to bring me down to 1, which is perfect. And then I can just finish this bad boy off with a nice little thunder just in case
That's
they
crazy.
wanted
Just
to
hit
switch.
the
So
thunder. No
that takes care
rain,
of
no
Espeon,
nothing.
and honestly is really nice because now that means they don't have the threat of switching that in and magic bouncing the sticky web, and I can pretty freely just kind of go for a sticky web now as they decide to bring in the big Chungus. So this matchup it's like kind of scary because I imagine maybe this thing wants to like belly drum here, but for the most
Actually, my Snorlax does not have belly drum. I know belly drum is a very common strategy on a Snorlax, but I tried it one time and it just felt like if you get a good enough hit at the start, like if you hit Snorlax pretty hard at the beginning, like it usually is pretty bulky unless you don't invest in its like what's its good defense? I think it's good special defense. If you don't invest in its physical defense, like if you hit it pretty hard, you may be able to knock it out. But like usually, since it has good stats everywhere else, you invest in its physical defense, which is what I did. So, but I felt like people would just hit it hard enough at the beginning that when I went for the belly drum and did like a good chunk and then did a little berry that did the fourth, like Snorlax wasn't fast enough to utilize the belly drum like later. It would just get taken out like the next turn. Not to say, I mean, it could be user error, it could be like you're not doing it right, Gales. So, but I actually used Curse, and Curse I thought was really good. This was Jericho's selection, the other co-owner of the JKF League. He came up with like Curse and Terra Ghost, one for blocking the pesky little the fighting types that want to punch Snorlax so bad, right? And then I could use Curse the Ghost way as well, which I thought was really cool. Like that was a really like big brain strat on his side. So yeah. So no, there was no threat of belly drum, Hayden. If you see this video, no threat of belly drum at all.
part I can kind of handle it. So I just go for that sticky web. It turns out they're actually just going to end up finishing me off with the crunch. And Galvantula did exactly what we were looking for, able to take care of the Espeon, which is annoying. And now I'm feeling like I have a pretty good opportunity to get a nice little revenge switch into the Sandaconda. I always try to bring it in on just a physical attacker that doesn't really threaten us that much, because I know I'm going to be faster. I can get up a coil before it even attacks.
Yeah.
And that means even if it goes for something like a body slam, it's going to do like 20%. So I go.
Also, no threat of body slam either. I was actually like copying a strat that I saw on Wolfie VGC, which I think is a good strat, especially for the JKF League, because Jericho, my rival, the co-owner, the other co-owner of the JKF League, he loves to burn your physical attackers. He loves to do that. And you know what? I know people were mad that they took away like Scald from like so many Pokemon. Jericho loves to put Scald on a ton of Pokemon, so I was like, ooh, at least. But still, like the threat of just being burned. So I actually, and I think you see this in this video, I actually use Facade instead. So there was no threat of a bloody slam either. It's I need to like hear it when I watch this. I'm like, oh, he's got my team all wrong. My team is weird. It's a weird team.
For that coil, your boy is out here tangled the hell up on a Monday. And after that nice little boost, they can't really touch me. They decide to end up going for a
Yeah,
curse,
there
however.
goes the curse.
And that makes things a little bit interesting. Just kind of matches the defense boost to my attack boost. And I'm like, well, I mean, at least I know that I have the benefit of not worrying about taking too much damage from physical attacks. So I'm just going to go for another coil here. I'm like, you know what? If you want to just boost in front of me, I'm going to continue going for coils. Because I'm pretty confident that Sandaconda can at least come out of this relatively fine. So I go for that coil once again. Turns out they're going to go for the facade. So this Snorlax kind of leads me to believe maybe it's like a rest, sleep talk, or there to kind of worry about being burnt. But the
Correct. It's worried about being burnt. So, yeah.
facade without any status ailment, isn't going to do anything. So at this point, I'm pretty free
And
to
that's
just
what I
go for
probably
an Earthquake. I
realized,
do
and I
want
was
to
just
kind of
like,
maintain my
I guess
physical
it's
defense,
time to head
which is
out.
because I know they have some priority in the form of like extreme speed Dragonite in the back. So I'm relatively reluctant to go for scale shots early, just knowing that that priority threat, is there. So as they actually decide to switch into the Gyarados on the Earthquake, it does come in and get an Intimidate, which is annoying. However, I
And
know
it
that they're
did
just going
not.
to go
It
for
did
a
not
water
get an
coverage.
intimidate. I don't know how that got missed, but my Gyarados is a Moxie Gyarados, so there was no intimidate in place. He still had all his boosts.
So I can actually pretty freely go for that Terra Dragon, and even at neutral, a Scale Shot should be enough to at least get some chip here and then allow me to outspeed after the speed boost. So I'm actually going to be faster. The Scale Shot's just going to go ahead and pop him right in the eyes, and that's got to not feel good. And I'm like, hey, maybe if I can get the 5 hits here, we're actually going to be in business. However, the luck with the loaded dice sometimes is not always there. We end up getting the 4 hits, which is still fine because even after
And
the
if I had
defense drop,
known
I'm
this
now
was
going
going
to
to
be sitting at
happen,
neutral
I
because
probably
had
would
the
have also
Coil
gone
up.
for Scale Shot.
And it allows him to just go for that waterfall, which
Waterfall is
resistant
resistant
and does
now.
literally nothing.
If I
So
had known, but
gives us a little
that's the
waterfall
that's the
bath, so
wonder
now the
of
snake is feeling,
terrestrialization.
fresh and clean, and I can just easily outspeed here and pop a cap in his ass with another Scale Shot. So
That he did.
that is going to take care of the Gyarados. Now I'm sitting faster than pretty much everything they have, especially if they're touching Sticky Web. And the main thing we're worried about is going to be that Dragonite. Priority is kind of one way that you can stop this if your defense gets out of control. I figure at -1 defense, it's actually not horrible. I probably should have gone for the Rock Blast on that turn. But as they're able to now switch freely into the Dragonite, this fella is kind of a threat. The good news is that I do have the super effective Scale Shot. And the bad news is that they also have the ability to Terra here. So they are going to actually end up
trying to use my. I'm
busting out
trying
the
to come
Terra.
back.
Most of the time, you
trying
imagine going to be
to
Terra
mitigate
normal here
this. I'm
to
trying.
just increase damage from extreme speeds. And depending on how this Dragonite is built, your boy's got a chance. So they go for that Terra normal, Diamond on the head. Buddy's looking to drip the hell out. They do actually go for that extreme speed, and I'm like, there is actually a shot, and we actually barely end up living. And
Yeah,
that is actually
that was
kinda
my
crazy.
that was my
And now,
shot to turn
a Scale
around.
Shot in this situation is real nice because as the first one hits,
was
it
my
doesn't do a
shot.
lot of damage, and that's because this thing's multi-scale ability was intact. But as we continue to hit him, it looks like 4 hits is actually going to get really close, but 5 is going to bring us on home. So that takes care of the Dragonite with the 5 hits. We get real lucky with that Scale Shot, and now we don't have
I
to worry
was
about
trying
extreme speed
so
with that
bad to go
priority,
back to the
to take us out.
Sandaconda.
So sometimes all it takes is 5 nice hits to take care of the Dragonite, and with that, that's also going to get rid of their Terra, which is absolutely amazing. And the Snake is going full Mach 10 speed at this point with all the Scale Shots. And everything they have left also has to worry about Sticky Web. So one thing they can do is go back into full health friggin'
Right.
Snorlax, who is just always a menace to take care of. The buddy's been at full health all damn day over here. I know he wants to eat those leftovers so damn bad. But
I also don't have leftovers. I don't know if I said this. I run a Quick Claw, which has been like an annoying thing to run on the Snorlax, or at least for the people in the JKF League. They hate the Quick Claw Snorlax because you just assume you're going to be faster, right? And then it's like, nope, I'm going to go first this time, and that just changes the course of the battle. That's something I've even before I was even trying any sort of strats at all, like way back in the day when I started using Snorlax, like because I was focused on hitting hard, hitting fast, like a lot of us were when we were like first got invested in the strategy. And I'm like, well, you can't make Snorlax fast, so I'm like, he gets a Quick Claw. So that's my preferred strat on a Snorlax.
But I can just go ahead and get as much damage as I possibly can with yet again another Scale Shot here.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit higher damage if I get the 5 rolls. So I figure an Earthquake or a 4-hit Scale Shot probably isn't going to kill anyway. But we're able to do so much chip even just with the 4 that we should be able to at least finish this thing off in kind of late game, clean it up with what we have left. So sadly the Snake is going to go down to this Facade, but we've done enough to the squad that hopefully we can clean it up with what we have left. Now they do have 3 Mons left. Of course they have the Snorlax. They also have a Charizard and a Gengar back there. So I decide I'm just going to go into the Scyther here. I can just finish this thing off with a close combat, and then I can kind of conserve things like Quagsire, for the Charizard. So I'm just going to go ahead and beat the hell out of him. Honestly, Snorlax looks like one of the most close combatable guys. I don't know if there's a Pokemon out there that would be more satisfying to close combat, just right to the big old squishy belly. But that's going to end up knocking out the Blacks. And now they're down to 2 left. So Bad thing about going into Scyther is that now obviously they can just bring right in the Charizard, who is, kind of our friggin' mortal enemy at this point. But as the Zard comes in, this thing isn't a super big threat. Obviously, I can just kind of freely switch into the Quagsire here, which,
And I
for the most part, should be
that
fine.
would have
And then the
been
main thing we're
move.
worried about is going to be kind of the
Like,
Gengar in the back.
watching it back,
However, I do have the Sticky
I
Web
could
up
have done
still,
things
so, I
so
know that everything
differently,
I
but
have
that's
will
what
be
you
faster
always
than
say,
that
right?
Gengar. So if need be, I can use the Scyther for it. And as they go for the Flamethrower, Quagsire comes in thinking, hey, that it hurts a little bit, but not too bad. I eat some leftovers, and we're having a nice little time here. Now, the only thing this thing could really scare us with would be like a Power Herb Solar Beam or something, but I'm just going to go for a nice little Surf. I think my recording actually may have missed. They went for an Air Slash and missed on that turn prior. Quagsire was, in fact, not faster, but I had like some type of air. I don't know. Regardless, they missed the Air Slash. A Surf does not quite knock him out, but all I got to do is hit him with one more of them. And they decide to continue going for the Air Slashes. That's going to actually do a decent bit of damage. The problem
That's what I
is
was
we actually
hoping
get
for. I was
flinched.
trying,
Like, well,
trying so hard to
damn it,
like,
that's
okay,
gonna be annoying.
what can I do with
After some
Charizard? 'Cause
leftovers, I
Charizard,
can
like,
at
I
least
love
live one more Air
Charizard to
Slash,
death.
which is like, that's
Like,
fine. So it's
Charizard is one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm one of those people who are here for Charizard. I know a bunch of people aren't here for Charizard. They think, not Nintendo, the Pokemon Company is giving them everything that they could possibly ask for and more. If they keep giving stuff to Charizard, I'm gonna be okay with it. But I also know that like base form Charizard is just like the best I got him to make him work was when I used him like as a choice scarf, solar power, just like come in and just like kill things and kill yourself at the same time, sort of. And I'm just like, oh, this is so. I'm like trapped in this move. But yeah, anyway, I was trying my best to come back from this because I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I can't switch into anything because of the webs. I was trying so hard. So
that's all I got to do. Easy job, easy money. They go for another Air Slash, and Quagmire's like, yeah, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and flinch again, which is incredibly annoying. So we get the
and I was probably
full
like, this
karma
is
of
it.
them missing the Air Slash, and now we got to deal with that. So at this point, all they have to do is just land pretty much anything, and it takes care of the Quagsire. And I'm like, well, this is making things just way more annoying than it needs to be. And one more slash just finishes off the Quagsire. So you have failed me once again, Mr. Sire.
Attaboy,
Still in
Charizard.
the box for a little while after that.
Attaboy.
However, all I really need to do is go into the Gengar, because I know that I can just outspeed with this thing. And obviously this is my goofy ass Gengar. I've been working with a physical one because Focus Punch predicting switches into King Gambit is hilarious. Regardless though, I can just go for a Poltergeist. It does knock out the Zard. And with that, their final mon is going to end up being the Gengar of their own. So we got ourselves a little old-fashioned Gengar on Gengar violence. And as it does get caught up in some Sticky Web, that guarantees that I'm going to be faster. Don't have to worry about a little Jolly versus Timid, gonna both max speed tie. So I can instead just beat the hell out of him with his own Life Orb. I guess with my tongue also, and that's going to take care of it. So down goes the
That's
Gengar.
it.
That is going to be the end of the game, and I thought that was just a goofy-ass match, and honestly, still a pretty fun one.
You're right.
Now, I do have one game for you left, and this is a
GG Haydunn. GG Haydunn. So yeah, that was the one time I got my butt beat on Hayden's channel. So I hope y'all enjoyed watching that. And sincerely, go watch the rest of this video and some other videos from Haydunn, especially if you're like focusing on team building and you're like, I need something and I need something different. Haydunn will have something for you. I swear he will. So shout out to Haydunn. Thanks for recording this match and posting it on your channel. If you ever want a rematch, let me know. I won't use this team. But we can battle in some other way. Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.